Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome in this new video tutorial in which I'm going to share with you my workflow in order to model a Disney style head character. As you can see on screen, I already started to do a pretty basic sketch using the grease pencil tool from Blender. This is not going to be a grease pencil tutorial, by the way. If you want to understand this tool, I created a full-length video tutorial from A to Z to share with you all the tips and tricks regarding this tool. But I already created this blueprint for us to have a plan in order to sculpt a model, to sculpt the head, and then we are going to do a retopology on top of the sculpt in order to have an animatable model, an animation-friendly model. This is not going to be a pure beginner tutorial, so if it's the first time that you're opening Blender, I really advise you to go and watch some basic tutorial, such as how to navigate in the UI, how to do basic modeling stuff. In this one, we are going I am going to share with you mainly techniques and workflow regarding how to build nice shapes and how to create a proper topology regarding the different facial features and how to make basically a professional model. So as you can see, I already have my grease pencil object in the space, and one thing that I want to do is to enable the shortcuts that I'm pressing, so you will be able in the lower right corner of the viewport to see what keys I'm pressing in order to pause the video if you want to, if you didn't understood what I was doing and or I forgot to mention the shortcuts that I'm pressing, you can always refer back to this in the right corner, lower right corner. So just to set up the workspace of Blender, I'm going to open Preferences by pressing F4 and going into Preferences, and you will be able to see that in the input section, I'm using the Emulate 3-button mouse option. This enables me to press the Alt key while maintaining the stylus of my graphic tablet in order to orbit around. I can also press the Shift key in addition to the Alt key in order to pan, and I can press the Control and Alt key in order to zoom in and out. So this is like the best navigation, I think, regarding sculpting workflow, because you can be over the model. You don't have any button to press on your stylus, which can be can give you I would say a pain in the hand in the long run. So I think this is like a pretty good way to navigate around the viewport. So the next thing is that you can see I have my grease pencil object over there. I can reactivate the overlay so I can see the selection, and one thing that I want to do is I want to duplicate this using an instance, so I can press Alt D and right click in order to cancel the location, the translation, sorry, and from the top view I also want to rotate this 90 degree and I want to bring it near the front on the y-axis like this. So if I go to the side view, you can see that I have my mesh over there. Maybe I'm going to center the side view, the profile, and from the front view, this is already set up. So let me just push that a bit outside of the view, and you can see that I have this blueprint being set up already. We are not going to follow this blueprint very precisely. This is not a perfect blueprint, by the way. But we are going to use that as a quick proportion check from time to time, and at some point we will totally abandon this grease pencil object just to dive more into the 3D object that we will have. So one thing that is also quite important is that you can select those objects and you can press you can, for instance, go with this one, and you can also enable the in front option for this one. So when you add a 3D object, you will be able to see your grease pencil object always in front, and if this checkbox is not marked on a specific object, you can see you cannot see it through. So I'm going to enable this again. And one last thing is that I am using this option over there, the viewport shading, and I am using the viewport background, and I change the color to a lighter one so I can better see what I'm doing in the viewport. Okay, so next thing also to do is to select the camera and the light and remove it, and I am going now to do very basic primitive modeling in order to start something, to have a base mesh that I can sculpt following the proportion of my mesh. So for that, you're not obliged to use your graphic tablet. You can use your mouse, which can be easier in some situations. So I'm going to bring a cube, enter in edit mode and subdivide this cube. And in this panel over there, I can crank up to 3 subdivisions, 3 cuts, and I can push the smoothness to 1. And as you can see, maybe this is not very centered, but it's okay. What I will be able to do is to simply push this on the cranium area, and from the side view you can see that it's not fitting very well. So what I can do is I can directly press Ctrl Tab, enter in sculpt mode, press G in order to grab the grab brush, by the way, and then what I can do is I can enable symmetry over there to like sculpt in a symmetrical point of view, in a symmetrical way, sorry. And I will be able to already start to fit this cranium primitive into the right location. So as you can see, I'm not taking the volume of the hairs into account, so I'm already thinking that there will be more volume added on top. So now the next thing that I can do is I can maybe duplicate this primitive by pressing Shift E, and I can maybe rotate it and scale it down, something like that. And from the front view, it's all right. So the thing that I can do now is applying the transform. So when you go in the item view by pressing the N key in this panel, you can see that the scale is not uniform because I've scaled the mesh. So this is something you don't want. So you can press Ctrl A and apply the scale, the rotation, or the location, or all the transform, because you can see the rotation is not zeroed out over there. So I can press Ctrl A and apply all transform to have like a perfectly zeroed out rotation and a perfect normalized scale. Okay, so now let's go back to sculpt mode by pressing Ctrl Tab and going down, and now what I can do is make this muzzle shape and the jawline, and this is very approximative, so don't worry, we're gonna dive much more into details regarding the shapes, but this gives us already a good start, I think. Okay, so one last thing that we'll be able to do is to bring a neck. So let's add a cylinder with, let's bring back a cylinder over there with 6 or 8 rings. Let's rotate it, and in edit mode, by pressing Alt-T, I can go in X-ray view. By the way, it's this button if you ever want to click on buttons, which I don't recommend, by the way, you know, because it's less efficient. But if you want, you can do that. And I've basically selected through, using the X-ray mode, and then I can scale, adding a cut over there. I can scale it down just to make, you know, the nice shape of the cranium, and I can push it even toward the inside like this, because we are going to merge that later on. So don't worry about that. And also I can press Alt-G to bring it back to the center and move it up like this. Maybe I can add one more cut that I can scale very gently, and this is going to be perfect for what I need. Okay, so now that I have this, I think I'm ready to hide my blueprint by pressing by selecting the mesh that I want to isolate and press / in order to enter my local view for this object. So now I'm more free, and don't worry, we're going to go back later on the into the grid. We are going to come back into non-isolated view to see back our model sheet. But for now, I think this is quite alright like this. So one thing that I can already start to do is to smooth by pressing the Shift key a little bit the cheeks. And one thing that I will be able to do right now is to select everything and press Ctrl J to join my mesh as one big mesh. Okay. So pressing the T key will bring back the the side panel, so all the brushes if you want in the sculpt mode. And what I want to do is, before continuing, I want to give you the shortcuts that I've set up for the brushes that I'm going to use. So the G key will be able for me to, it's the move brush basically that I enable with the G key, so I didn't change the default shortcut. The Shift C brush, which is the crease brush, I didn't change the shortcut to, so Shift C. The smooth brush is with every brush selected, you can press Shift in order to smooth. You then have the clay strip. So this one I've changed it to Alt-C, and in order to change the shortcut for a brush, you right click on it and you will have add shortcut over there, but because I already set up this shortcut, you can see Blender proposed me to change it. So Alt-C for the clay strip. I have Alt-F for the scrape brush, which is the equivalent of the trim dynamic from ZBrush, for instance. This will enable me to flatten, to create some planes, nice planes. I have the P key for the pinch brush, I didn't change that one, and I have the Alt-S for the draw brush, which I didn't change. I enabled by adding a shortcut, a custom shortcut. Okay, and I think that's all. I think that's all actually. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to join. I want to do a remesh from this mesh. So remesh is something that will basically blend all the pieces together as one mesh, and I then will be able to smooth the transitions between the different shapes to have like a better looking shape, and it will be much more controllable, and I will be able to have more density, more polygon density also. So Shift R enables me to define the density of polygons that I want. So for this one, I'm gonna stay pretty high, like something like 0.04. It's going to be okay. Make sure that your scale by pressing N of the object is fine. If it's not the case, you can go back in object mode and press Ctrl A and apply a transform again. And let's go back to the sculpt mode. And then I'm going to press, so Shift R is for defining the subdivision detail, and then Ctrl R is for using the remesh modifier, so which is the case. Okay. So now what I can do is I can smooth a little bit the shape like this to create something that will serve as a nice base for my mesh. So, okay. So this looks pretty fine for now. I have like a nice base. It's very alien looking, but don't worry, we're going to to do a lot of work in order to make it more appealing and human based, human looking. Sorry. Something like that. Okay, so I can push a little bit here and there, and this will be again a nice base. I can press Ctrl R again just to remove some artifacts from the bottom over there, and that I can smooth. So Ctrl R to regenerate. So each time I want to regenerate, I will be pressing Ctrl R. Okay. So just for 1 minute, I'm gonna press slash to come back with my mesh. With my model sheet, sorry, just so I can see very quickly the edges approximatively of my head. I will be able to quickly refine my shapes, and I will also be able to press Shift C and just mark over there the line of my eyes. This will be very, very useful for me. And I will do the same thing with the mouth. Okay. If you don't want to do it using your model sheet, you can also like eyeball it. But because I've already sketched something, it's easier for me. So now I have a pretty good reference for where will be placed my facial features, my main facial features. Okay, so now the next thing will be for me to dig the eyes. Okay, so let's do that. So Alt-C to reach for the crease brush. And now what I can do is like dig the area for the eyes. I can press Ctrl R to regenerate some things pretty quickly. I will be also able to put the nose over there. So for now, it's going to be a very button nose if you want. And also, I think that using the Alt-F shortcut, which is for reaching the scrape brush, I can flatten some areas on the side. the jaw right now, something like that. Maybe sculpting the jaw a little bit more. And let's remove this angry look by simply smoothing a little bit the mask area. So when I say mask, it's basically this superhero mask that you always see in models, okay? That will basically help defining the area of the eyebrows and the eye and the cheek. So even when designing a 2D character, you often have this. So it's quite important to nail it right at the beginning. So we have this. So maybe using the trim brush, the scrape brush, sorry, by pressing Alt F, I can already flatten a little bit the forehead, like if I were polishing a jaw. So this is something that you can do, like adding some planes over there, something like that. I can here and there flatten the things. Maybe here I can also, from the bottom view, flatten a little bit the mask, and Alt C, in order to bring the clay strip brush, I can maybe add a bit more mass to the side of the arcade over there. And from the bottom view, I can also use the grab brush to make the arcade a bit more prominent, and I can smooth a little bit the forehead to push it backward. So from the side view, the nose is quite flat, so let me bring it forward, sorry, and I'm pushing it and bringing back the nice arch for it. And from the bottom view, the mouth is so flat, so this is a very common beginner mistake, to make the mouth flat on a mesh. So remember, it's always following the teeth. So you have your teeth over there, so make sure you add it on top of it. And let me assign this to the quick favorite so I can unlink the annotations quickly. Okay, so you see how this already looks much better, much more realistic. And in order to make it even better, we are going to add some mass coming from the nose to the corners of the lips that are going to go forward. And from the side view, we're going to see that much more than the corners of the lips. And make sure that this is quite subtle in terms of depth. This is also something that I'm seeing a lot in beginners model, is that you hardly I see very hard here lines, which tends to make the model pretty old. If this is what you're reaching for, it's perfectly fine, and even better, you can make it much more important. But if this is not the case, please make it subtle. Okay. So let's regenerate again the subdivision, but this time let's go down a level, like 100, by pressing Shift R. Sorry, and I just want over there in the remesh to attack, preserve the volume. It's going to be fine, and maybe I can symmetrize the mesh. So let's do that, because it was not symmetrical if you look at the topology, and I don't want that. So let's do that. Let's make sure everything is set up correctly regarding the object. I think it's all right. So I'm going back in the mesh. I'm going to smooth a little bit the hard angles that I have on the cranium area. And then pressing Ctrl R again with more topology, you can see that I have now a better idea of like of my shapes. So let's press Shift C and let's push back even more the lips, and by pressing Ctrl I can invert my brush, as you already should know, and then I can bring the lips forward, so I can define the corners of the lips. And let's even dig a little bit the corners over there, and let's now refine a little bit the shape of the mouth. And maybe I can press slash again just to bring the nose down. I already knew it was a bit high, but now I have a much better view on where the shape should be. And from the side view, you can see also I can bring the lips forward. So again, this isn't a precise model sheet. It's done very quickly, but so you shouldn't follow per se, I would say, the shapes, but this gives you an approximative location of where things are. Sorry. And as you can see, it's much better looking right now. So the next step for me, and I know it's pretty soon in the process, will be to add the ears and to add the eyes. Okay, so I have a pretty good reference on where they are. So for the ears that I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna extrude. I'm gonna add a cube, sorry, and in edit mode, I'm going to scale it on the y-axis in this context. Pressing Alt Z, I'm going in the X-ray mode, and I'm going to extrude the ear like this, and adding one cut there. And why I'm in X-ray mode? It's because I want to select through. Okay, so if you're not in X-ray mode, you won't be able to select what's behind. So Alt Z, and then I'm adding a cut over there and over there, making just a ear shape, a basic ear shape. And the next thing will be to, for instance, select those faces, scale them, extrude, okay, to make the back of the ear, and to just make it round like this. And this maybe can be forward a little bit. And for now, I think this is a pretty good primitive to start with. So next step that I can do for this one is to press Ctrl 2 to add a subdivision surface that I can already apply by going in the modifiers and pressing Ctrl A on top of it. And I have a pretty good base now that I can scale, that I can rotate, sorry, and that I can place to the right location for my mesh. So it will be behind the jaw and approximatively on the, if I'm making it right, let me add this to the quick favoritude, so the annotation. It should be from the bottom of the nose approximately to the top of the ear, but because this is a cartoon character, it can be plus or minus in this location. Okay. And now I'm entering into sculpt mode. By the way, you see when I enter in sculpt mode, Blender says it's a non-uniform mesh, which means I will have some issues, some troubles. As you can see, the scale is not right, the rotation also, and the location meter. So I can apply all transform. And now in sculpt mode, I can already try to shape this ear a little bit. Okay. To make a better looking shape. I can make it rounder, something like that. And from the back view, I can twist it the way it should twist. So it should twist the other way around. So more toward the bottom like this and the top like this. And one thing that I can do is come back to the head and push over there a little bit toward the inside my volume, so so I have a space to push the ear. And also I'm seeing like too much angles on the back over there, so I can smooth, and using the trim brush, so not the trim brush but the scrape brush, I can compensate for that. And maybe from the top view, I also really want to have this kind of trapezius dynamic. Okay, so it's shorter on the front and it's wider on the back. This helps me generating a better looking thrust in the head. Okay, maybe also the back of the head is too present, so I will tweak everything like on the go, so don't worry about like too much of precision for now, because like it's like doing a model or sculpting a model is it's a very iterative process, so you have to take your time and you have to understand that you will need to invest a lot of time regarding the shapes until it's final, and you decide when it's final. So we'll have to still do a lot of things. Okay, so now this ear is quite ready to be joined to the other mesh. So I'm selecting it, selecting then the mesh, and then joining them. And in sculpt mode, I can maybe now even reduce to maybe 170 and press Ctrl R, and everything will be joined together. And then I can smooth the transition of the ear, and I have a pretty decent base for the ear right now. As you can see, it's not symmetrical, so there's multiple ways I can do that. I can go in this view and I can say symmetrize, but you can see it's the other way around. So I should here say +2 - X, and this will add the other ear to the other side. One other way would have been to symmetrize the ear before joining it, but it's also good like this. So let's make sure the ear is placed at the right location. It was a little bit high, so I'm going to lower it down, something like that. And maybe I can press slash to have a quick proportion check. Okay, something like that for the eyes. And from the side view, I can see that it's a bit too much. It's too much forward, so I can bring it back a little bit. It's too small in the model sheet, so I'm going to compensate for that. And pressing slash, I'm back with the mesh. Okay, so something like that will work, I think, for now. So now the next step for me will be to, maybe I'm gonna push the muzzle a little bit forward. Okay, so the next step for me is to bring an eyeball, so I will be able to sculpt the eye. So to do that, I'm going to again press slash to bring back my base mesh, my model sheet. Sorry, you can already see that I'm losing too much volume for the side of the head, so I'm going to bring it back, and then I'm going to eyeball a little bit with the 3D cursor the center of the eyeball, and I'm going to add a UV sphere that I can rotate 90 degrees on the x-axis, and I'm going to scale it so it fits with the side of the eye. So something like that will work, I think. And then I think it's the right time to add a material that will be called the sclera, which is the name for the white of the eye. And as you can see, I was already working on this file before, so I already have some materials ready to be set up. But you can basically redo them, so it's quite easy. You just assign the material like that. You can see in the viewport display the color is white, and then the surface it's white too. Let's add also, I've prepared an iris material, which is gray in the viewport display and gray in the base color, and also a pupil, which is a pure black over there with 100% roughness, and the same thing for the surface. And the cool thing is that I can select by pressing Ctrl plus this, maybe scale this a little bit more, and I can assign the pupil. Okay, press Ctrl plus and maybe remove the center over there, and I can assign the iris color, sorry. And right click, shade smooth, and I think I'm good to go. And from the side view, I'm gonna push this eye backward, and if I press slash by selecting the eye plus the head, I have my eye located correctly, and I can then add a mirror modifier using the head as the center, and then as you can see, I have now everything that I need to start working on the eyes. So let's go back in the sculpt mode, and from the side view, I'm going to push to open the eyes even more. And what I need to do is to, okay, first I'm going to disable temporarily the mirror modifier, and this is going to help me add the volume for the eyelids. So I can already start, you see, to add this. So maybe from the point of view of the eye, I can do that just as a quick mark. And then from the other side, because now I see what I need to do, I can dig inside, maybe Alt S to reach for the drawer brush, which is a bit stronger. I can push the volume of the eye socket. And now from the bottom view, using the grab brush, you can see I have everything that I need to create a nice round eyelid shape. Okay, so the eyelid will be something quite hard to do actually, because we'll have to work very precisely on the thickness of the eyelid, on the way it integrates with the arcade and with the cheek. But as you can see, very quickly already, using this mask, I can, and from the bottom view, I can round it. As you can see, this is something that I will really advise you to do a lot, going from different point of views. And I know the corner of the eye is located right there, and it's pretty flat. Okay, so the shape is pretty flat like this, going more toward this location, toward this way, sorry. So you can see that trying to do that there, maybe bringing back the side and making sure that the apex of the curve over there is higher than what I have right now. So let me go on the other side, something like that. So now that I have this, what I can do is I can already maybe start to smooth things out to integrate it better with the rest. Okay, so this is a first draft of how the eyes will look like. And now I can use the crease brush by pressing Shift C, and I can start to define even more the eyelids and to push them even more so they are round around the eye. So something like that, and same for the bottom. And then I can smooth them even more. And from different location, you can see how I'm pushing them so they fit around the ball, the globe of the eye, which is quite important. Okay, always remember that the eye is round and the eyelids are going from the top to the bottom. They're closing like from the top to the bottom, so this is quite important to notice, and that's why this is a hard section to sculpt. Okay, so over there you can see I don't have a way to easily maintain this geometry. So one thing that I can do is I can call the mask brush. So over there I can use the mask brush, which is I can press Control, I think. No, it's Control is on ZBrush, sorry. Let me find the mask brush. I don't recall the icon, it's this one, okay. And I'm gonna mask this. So this will be way easier for me to separate it, as you can see. And then I can press Control M to remove the mask. It's not Control M, sorry, I can press A and clear the mask. Maybe using the inflate brush I can bring more mass over there and then smooth the thing, and I can again grab my volume there. One thing that's quite important to remember is that from the front view, and this will be the hard part, but this should be more like this, okay, because this follows the eye like this, maybe like two balls connected together. So this is exactly what we're reaching for, and as you can see this is quite hard because we'll have to either we can mask, either we can push from the bottom, we can push the top part of the eyelid in the back, which is what I'm gonna do because this gives me more control. Okay, so you're approximative for now, but it's okay. And the same thing for the bottom. So in order to do that, I can have a pretty wide brush that I can use in order to push the bottom and bring the top part of the eyelid. Same thing over there. I'm gonna cut even more. So as you can see with all that work, what I can do is I can try to remesh. So while remeshing, you will see I will have a much better topology. It's going to be more proportional to what I've done. So Shift R, I can go even lower, and Control R again, and now I have something that blends even better. That now I can reshape much better. Okay, so we have something that kind of works for now. And then I need to smooth some stuff here and there. So that's the issue with the eyes, is that it's never finished. We'll always have to work with them until the end. So make sure you always work on them once in a while, so they still fit with the overall design. This will help you tremendously when doing the retopology. And you can smooth a little bit the arcade like I've done over there. This will also help. And let's press Shift slash, sorry, to make sure that we're back with the model sheet. So, and also to make sure that I'm aligning correctly with the shape that I want to do. Something like that. And now maybe I can press Alt F to reach for the scrape brush, which will help me define a bit better the planes for those eyelids, and you will see it will help me separate a bit better those planes. And maybe using the inflate brush I can bring much more volume to those eyelids and smooth them. And using Alt C I can make sure that this top eyelid goes on top of the bottom one and fades out with the top arcade. Okay. And maybe I will be able to add a bit more mass on the bottom there. And I think we're getting there slightly. So it's just a matter of like spending the time, as you can see, defining the shapes and playing with the shapes. It's not a marathon, it's just like it's better to have the right shape, so to explore. And for now I think I will stop right now. Maybe I can still maybe over there like crease a little bit using the crease brush. And I can also make sure that I have like the right mass that connects over there on top of the nose to the cheek. That will define the inner corner shape of the eye a little bit better. Okay. Maybe with Shift C we can cut a little bit there, the top of the eye. And with the grab brush we can come back and have a better, nicer shape there. Again, this takes some time, so it's just a matter of like spending this time. Okay, so let's bring back the mirror modifier in the viewport so we have a better view on what we're doing. I want to remove the wobbling effect over there with the mesh because of the remesh operation. And I also want to try to crease even more, maybe with a more subtle brush, which is the crease brush in this context. I want to again separate the eyelids even better, like this. Okay, so now I see that the cheeks are not coming too much from the back, which I want, so I'm going to bring back the cheek from behind to the front. From behind to the front, which connects to the zygomatic arch. And this, I can see it in the 3/4 profile. Not profile, but the 3/4 view. You can see how this creates a nicer, rounder volume. It comes back to the front, okay? And one thing that I can do is, maybe from the profile I can round the cheek over there by adding some mass and smoothing it. And maybe also I can start to define the nose a little bit better. So the nose will be defined as a sort of diamond shape, so I can cut on the side and smooth. I can cut on the bottom and smooth. And for the top of the nose, I can press Control, and I can define the, if you want, the edge of the top of the nose like this, and then I can smooth. This will separate my nose in this kind of diamond shape, which works quite well for cartoon characters. And I can also cut using the crease brush, a large crease brush. I can cut there and smooth, and this will create a nice blend from the nose to the side of the cheek there. So we are, I think, in a good direction right now. We can even work more on the mouth. So I think I'm gonna add more geometry for now. So maybe let's work on the ear before doing that. So for the ear, I don't have a very well defined plan. Sorry. So I'm gonna do a very basic cartoon ear. So basically, I'm going to cut the helix going toward the center, like this. Pressing Alt-C, I can dive into the ear. I can leave the mass for the lobe over there. So I'm pressing Control to dig. So I don't want to dig through the ear, so make sure that you only go one direction. And then maybe adding more mass to the junction of the ear toward the center, so something like that will do the trick, I think. And then I want to make sure that I have this piece that comes back, and the helix, which is the spiral thing, coming back to the center, to the inner part of the ear. So something like that, I think, will do the trick for now. Oh, I'm quite sad about what I've done, so I'm gonna undo a lot. And there is a property in the tool for in the options that will is it in the options or in the advanced? Yeah, it's this one, front face only, for the clay strip, that will basically allow me not to sculpt behind. I think this should work. In any case, I can smooth a little bit and maybe add more mass to correct the artifact. And let me remove this option that apparently is not working so well for what I have to do, and maybe Alt-S to bring the draw brush will be much better in order to be more aggressive regarding the volume that I'm adding. So something like that. And for now, I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to use the scrape brush in order to make more defined planes for the helix. and the inner piece of the ear that I can push a bit more. Let's go around the outer edge. And maybe Shift C to crease, and I'm going to dig around this central piece. And Control, using Control I can also redefine some of the edges of the helix and the central piece to make it more squarish like this. Okay, so this is going down toward the inside. So this volume, this mass is quite important, so I want to make it clear. And I want also to dig the hole there, maybe Alt S to use the draw brush and protect this inner piece, and adding some more mass on top. And then using the grab brush I can rotate a little bit this spiral shape of the helix, something like that. Okay, so for now this is going to work with what I want. And maybe from the back, using the crease brush, I can crease around the connection of the ear and smooth on the cranium part, and maybe disconnect a little bit also the back from the front of the ear. And I really advise you to take some references if this is the first time you're sculpting an ear. I've sculpted so many ears that I can go without reference for now, but I may go back on some references later on when I need to add details. But basically there I need to crease a little bit and smooth to really separate the front part from the back part. So this is looking much better like this, much more realistic. Okay, so now let's work on the I think on the nose we can work even more. And also I'm a bit sad because I'm losing like some shapes on the side. Let me try to check if I can do something better with the eyes. First, the inside there should be pushed even more backward, sorry. So I can do something like that. Let's add even more the crease over there that will follow the eye. And maybe I can bring back the sketch, which I diverge a little bit from, but it's still right approximately. So I still think it's we are on the right track. So let me isolate back my sculpt. And you know what? I think right now it's a good time to save. Control S, of course, and maybe to work a little bit more on the nose, and then we'll do a break, because I think it's quite important to refresh our eye when working with such a thing. So I'm gonna add the nostrils inside this plane, so it's not the right plane, by the way. Let me add some crease even more to redefine like the boundaries of the area of the nostrils even more. Maybe we can also shape the nostrils more. So they will stop over there. Okay, so I can crease it there. And now Alt S to grab the draw brush and Alt-C to add some volume on the nostrils over there, and it's really important to have this plane from the bottom view. That will protect the whole of the nose. And we can push back the nostril a little bit and then smooth things out. And as you can see, I don't have that many polygons to define them, but usually what you have is that the nostril is coming back to the inside. So you have like a sort of, you have a sort of curl that goes to the inside and the nostril goes on top like this. So this goes inside. So from the side view, we can maybe also make sure that this goes inside and this is more forward. And this may be more backward. Let's move that down to make a nicer looking curl with the wing. And again, make sure that this goes inside. Something like that for now will do the trick. Okay. So one thing that's quite important to notice is that I didn't put the loft line like this, okay, even though I could. But if I push the loft line and then directly I smooth it so it's not very visible, because it can make the model look very old, and I don't want in this context. But if you have a very old model, like an aged model, this is something you can go directly to in order to increase the edge of the character. Okay. So I think we are quite okay right now regarding the global shape of this character. The eye is still an issue, and I think, as I said, as I mentioned previously, I think it's quite a good time to maybe we can finish a little bit the nose, and then we can take a break. So for the nose, what I want to do again is using, maybe I can use the pinch brush again, and I really want to pinch this line around the nose, on the top, around the nostrils. Something in this idea. Okay. And yeah, I think it's getting close to the shapes that I want. Maybe I need still to push back the lower eyelid a bit more to separate it from the cheek. Okay, let me smooth a little bit of things here and there. Coming closer to the point, I can make sure the thickness is alright. So you can see that something that I'm doing all the time is like going close to the mesh. This helps me refine some wobbliness in the eyelid, and don't worry, like every professional sculptors know that. There is always something going wrong with the eyelid in terms of like topology, especially when using Dynamesh or remesh operations like we've done. And when we'll do the retopology, everything will be much better, and this will solve a lot of issues regarding our mesh. So don't worry about that right now, I will say. I think a lot of things are getting in the right direction. Maybe the eye is a bit too wide from the front view. So one thing I can do is I can bring the eyelid forward a bit, and I can move up the lower and down the top eyelid. So I will do that and then press slash numpad slash again, sorry, and move the eyelid forward a bit. I can press Ctrl also to push along the normals, but I really want to have the right size for the eyes. And I think like that it's looking much better. Okay, let's push back again this for the center. Maybe here I can like be very wide, very strong regarding this this cut. Again, I have a wobbliness of the eye that always bothers me when sculpting a face, but it's okay. I need to go with it. And then I can use the scrape brush maybe to flatten a little bit the nose, the bridge of the nose, and maybe also like the center part over there. I can like scrape it a little bit and smooth it. Okay, so let's bring the lips a bit backward, and let's try to also scrape the temples a little bit, and let's work on this area that we didn't work that much with. So one thing that's quite nice is using matte cap sometimes gives you a better vision of what you're doing. So I'm using usually this matte cap. It reminds me like the one that I'm using in ZBrush or on Mudbox back a long time ago. And as you can see, I'm better seeing the planes that I'm dealing with, so I can better define the edges using the scrape brush. I can make sure again that this, using clay strip, that this cheek is coming from the back, which is quite important again. You can stress that enough. And again, Shift C, I can cut the lower edge, the lower lid, sorry, even more, and smooth things out. And also there, let me again reinforce this cut and maybe smooth even more. I really want this to be very visible from the profile view, like the disconnection of the lower lid like this. So let me sculpt it. Let me sculpt it very much, and let's bring it back. So you can see it's like a fight. Like the eyes are always a fight, and it's a endless fight because you can always find something that goes wrong. And again, I said that when we're going to deal with the topology, it's going to be much better, and trust me, it's going to be the case. And we'll have much more control on the shapes that we want. Maybe I can bring back a little bit the corners. And from the bottom view, I really need to be sure that this is round. So something like that will probably do the trick. So we are going to work very slightly on the mouth, and then we are going to take a break in order to refresh our eye and to be in a better mood to continue, because like it's it's quite important to take breaks, especially when doing like things like that, because you really want to have like a refreshed eye often to make sure you're going in the right direction and you correct some stuff, and basically taking your time is quite important actually. So again, like I'm not very happy with the cheeks, so one thing I will do is I will take the mask brush, which I didn't add a shortcut on this one. Maybe I can, this one, maybe I can add it to the quick favorites. So I'm adding it in the quick favorites, and I'm gonna add my mask, and I think here I can display the mask. So let's press A and clear the mask, and one thing I want to do is I want to protect basically this area over there, and I want to smooth it. So I'm pressing A and I want to smooth the mask. And now I can press the G key, and I want to truly increase the size of the cheek like this. You can see it's going to be much more interesting shape-wise. You can see it already over there, and I can smooth things, and we have a much nicer looking model right now. Okay, let's clear the mask. And let's adapt for what we've done. Next, looking from the top, I have an issue is that the back of the head is shorter than the front, and this is usually something you don't want. So I'm going to push back the front, but I know that this will affect the eye area, so I will do the reverse operation. So widen the back. And I will have an issue, of course, with the ear, but I will take my time and make sure this works properly. Maybe compensate a little bit from the front. Over there, I'm gonna use the mask brush again, mask out the eye. And from the bottom view, I'm gonna push back the arcade. Okay, I was losing this, and this fades out to the side. Okay, clearing the mask by pressing A. Okay, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Maybe I can bring the ear a bit forward. Make it maybe rounder, you know. Okay, so I'm starting to feel it looks much better. Maybe, and this is just a very 3D judgment call, I would say maybe the eyes are a bit too big. So I'm going to scale them down, and I'm going to adapt the eyes, the corners of the eyes, in using a very large brush, very large move brush. I'm going to adapt the eyes so they're a bit smaller. And I'm going to smooth a lot the back of the head, and I'm going to bring the side forward a little bit more, and I'm going to bring back the shape of the eyes like this. Okay, I think we're getting in the right direction right now, and now maybe again masking the eye will help me to again define even better the arcade. And I don't want the front of the arcade to be so pushed forward, so I'm taking my time with this, making a nice round forehead, bringing back the the corner of the top of the nose, creating this nice curve shape for the nose. And also here I've noticed that I need to add some volume that goes in front of the corner of the lips, okay, which is really important. Something like that. Let me clear the mask. And there are some volumes that are quite important for the mouth, and we are going to deal with them right now. So from the bottom part we have like, let me draw it, we have like one mass over there, one mass over there. This creates a sort of like heart shape if you want. We have one mass there, and like in the bottom we have one mass and one mass that is symmetrical. And those are the most important masses that we have on the lip that we can add already. Let's smooth everything a little bit, and then maybe using the crease brush I can even go further with the definition of the lips. Let me dig a little bit over there also and smooth to create the transition with the nose. And I know that I don't want to have lips that are so much full, so I'm gonna smooth them out a little bit. And maybe using the pinch brush, a very large pinch brush, I'm gonna pinch the corner a little bit like this, and I think that, as you can see, this looks much better than before. And from the bottom view, maybe I'm gonna push the corner a little bit back, because like now they're getting too much round. Let's bring back a nice round shape for this mouth. Okay, it's looking much better. And again with crease, I'm gonna separate a little bit the chin and just smooth things out, just to mark a little bit more the chin. So let's wait a little bit. Let's take a break. Let's polish a little bit just before taking a break this area by adding a little bit volume and then smoothing things out. This is going to balance again the surface. You can see we have like a wobbly surface over there, so let's smooth a little bit. Let's use the scrape brush to balance things out over there and smooth a bit. Okay, even for the lower part of the neck we can mark it flat. And now maybe we can try, also the neck is a bit too, it was a bit too pushed backward, sorry. So I'm gonna smooth the bottom piece of the neck. I'm gonna push it forward a little bit. Maybe I'm gonna push back this part and here reverse the shape. I know it's not very anatomically correct, but I think this looks much better. So it's more important that it looks nice rather than anatomically correct, especially on a cartoon character like this. Okay, so I think we are getting there. I think we're having some nice shapes over there. We still have a lot of work, of course, regarding many areas. I think the ears are a bit too high. Let's bring them back down. I think we can also like be pretty well to define more concretely the jawline from the bottom. So let's add, using the crease brush, this separation that follows the neck. And also now let's add, maybe using the clay strip brush, let's add the jawline. And fill it with a bit more volume, more mass. something like that. You can see how this looks much better. I can smooth everything out. And now I think we are in a very good place to pursue the rest of the mesh. So let's tweak a little bit the shape of the eyes again. You will see that till the end this will be your the thing you will tweak the most, but this is normal, and it's a pretty good sign that you're doing that. So bringing back the blueprint, you can see that we've changed drastically the position of the ear, which is fine, I think. According to the design, I think it's okay. Maybe this is a bit too off. But again, we're doing a 3D model, so if you think the ear was a little bit too much forward, at least I think, it's my call to do it in a better way. So one thing I can do also is that if I want to have a pretty solid view there of the 3/4, I can let it there, and now you can see how I can sculpt while maintaining the other view. This helps sometimes to see how much volume you can add for the 3/4 view of the cheek. So you can see here I'm bringing more volume, I'm smoothing things out. Here I'm gonna cut a little bit because this is where the zygomatic arch is going to come. And this is going to separate the arch with the rest of the figure. So I can cut a little bit there to define this area a bit more. So basically what I want is that here I will be having the zygomatic arch. This is going to fade out over there, dividing the temples. And here, basically, usually when drawing you have this nice rhythm shape that goes there, and it is separated in two. So this is going more forward, this is going like forward, going toward the chin, actually, more like this. Just have the nice eye over there, and then the nose, and there the nose should be a bit more backward, I think. So we are going to deal with that. So pressing Shift C, I can cut with the side of the nose to bring it even more, and adding more volume with Shift C, I can bring back, fill back the gaps, but in a more controlled way. And I can add back the mass of the nose, fading out toward the arcade. And here I want to crease also even more to separate, but again this should be very subtle, otherwise it's going to be very old looking. And I want to cut again the nostrils and the nose to be sure about the placement of those. And there still have this issue of the eye not connecting well, so I need to cut. Maybe here I need more volume, so I use the inflate brush by pressing the I key. And I can scrape a little bit also, and you can see I have a mask, so I need to clear the mask. And I think this is looking much better than what we had before. So the nose is looking fine, and the full area over there is looking fine. Maybe I can bring that a bit backward. and I will join back this window by pressing right click and join area. And I think that there I need always to compensate for the rotation, for the angle of the eye. Each time you're modifying the eyelid, you will see you will be destroying like them from another point of view, which is like the default steps that you have to take, I will say, to make a decent cartoon head. And again, remember that when we'll do the topology, this will work much better and we'll have much more control on top of that. So maybe now, like I've added like more alien eyes, I want to bring them back. So you can see that already the inside is being pushed too far away. So let's bring it back to the center. Something like that. Okay. And let's for a final time before the break, I'm going to remove the wobble effect. Or at least trying to remove it a little bit. Let's add a bit more volume on the inflate, using inflate over there. And let's make sure that, again, the center is pretty straight, especially in cartoon Disney eyes. Something like that. Straight over there too. And we have here the inner corner of the eye that I can not define like that. It's terrible like this. It's horrible like this. So let's do something like that. Let's smooth things out a little bit. And I think that, okay, it's now time for us to take a break, so it will be instantaneous for you thanks to the magic of editing. But I think it's quite important to refresh our eye and to have a nicer point of view, a more clear point of view on what we can do in order to improve the different shapes. So again, I will take a break every 2 hours or something like that. But that's a personal point of view. You can take more breaks if you want. But yes, it's part of the process, refreshing your eyes. You cannot do like the full sculpt straight. This is, I think this is a mistake if you're doing that. So yes, take your time. You can see already that, like for instance, here I can already see that I can dig even more my shapes and add more volume to make that more prominent. But again, let's take that for the next session. Or not next session, but just after the break. Maybe if you're a gamer, you can do a game. You can play a game, have fun. Coming back, take a look at references and putting more work into what you already have. Okay. And again, a nice advice that I can say for following a tutorial such as this one is that watch it first, like a first time straight, and then come back to it with tons of notes and do it along with me the second time you watch it. Okay, so I would really advise you to watch it twice. One time you follow it, like you watch it like if it was a demo, for instance. You take notes about the shortcuts that I'm using, the techniques, the thoughts that I'm sharing with you, and the next round, so basically the next time you watch it, do it along with me and you try to follow along with me. But now you will have a much better understanding of what I'm doing, and you will be basically aware of the traps and of the time it takes to do something. Again, in my way. Not saying that I'm doing the best thing as possible, but or the fastest way as possible, but at least I'm having a workflow that I think works pretty well for this kind of thing. Okay, so let's take a break, and due to the magic of editing, you will be instantaneously there for the next step. Okay, so now that I've made my break, played a few games, now I'm ready to continue working on this, and I've realized something is that maybe the eyes are too big, so I'm gonna like remove a little bit of like the height for them, and I'm not so happy with the way I've managed the nose. So one thing that I want to do is for sure I want to add more volume over there, so that's what I'm gonna add. As you can see, this is going to bring much more character to the face, something like that. And also maybe proportion wise, I think I have like an issue with the the under piece of the neck. So let's move back over there, and I'm gonna rework the nose a little bit later, but I need much more volume, geometry for that, so I'm gonna do that soon. But before doing that, let me press Shift R and reduce to maybe 100 the remesh value, and then press Ctrl R to remesh. Okay, so Shift C, now I can come back to the mouth, sculpt it a little bit more, refine the shapes over there. Let's re-add this crease on the side of the nose, and maybe now we can work much better the inside of the nose. And there is some stuff that I'm not going to use because there are add-ons that are paid, and I don't want to show you add-ons that are like not necessarily easy to get, but there is one that I will use probably more often than you think, is the quad remesher add-on, but I don't want to use it there because it's like a 100 euro add-on, but it will help me to get a much better topology and much better workflow. It's the same thing than the Z remesher from ZBrush that I'm using often when sculpting, but actually this is it in Blender. So, but I don't want to include it in this tutorial, so so that's why I'm fighting a little bit the surface that I have. Okay, so polishing things here and there, I can bring back much more volume near the nose over there, and I think that I'm quite close to being able to double check with the proportions and maybe try to start a retopo on top of this sculpt that I will still be able to later on manipulate in any case. So here, as you can see, I still have an issue to fix, so smoothing the volume, and the topology of this ear is not ideal. Not the topology, but the shape, sorry. So I'm gonna cut again, and using the scrape brush, I'm gonna sculpt again the outer edge like that to make it sharper, and maybe by pressing Ctrl, you can see it also allows me to bring forward some shapes, and coming back with the G key, I can shape this ear a bit better. So something like that will do probably the trick. Let me double check my proportions with the blueprints. So pressing slash. So you can see how I'm still alright, I think, regarding the basic shapes, the basic placement. From the side view I'm a bit off, so I can try to bring back a little bit things back just to test. And let's press slash and see how this adapts. So this is not so great from the side view, so I prefer to come back on what I've done from the side view and still manage to do it in 3D. And here you can see maybe from the top view I can find a better shape joining this this cheek. Okay, so maybe I can push back even more this piece from the bottom view and try to reach for a better arcade shape from the top view. But I'm not a big fan of this going very steep, being very steep. So I'm gonna try to add even more volume for the cheek. And here with the crease brush, again trying to disconnect the eye even more. I know we've been repeating some stuff a lot, but it's part of the process. Again, it's a very iterative process, as I said previously many times, and this is why it takes some time. It's not a marathon, as I said, especially when you're not working in a studio. You don't need to be as fast as possible, but you still need to manage to get the shapes right before reaching for efficiency in the tools. Like now I will press Alt F to reach for the scrape brush, and I will try to sculpt different planes better. So maybe flattening the nose, the top of the nose a little bit, and making sure I'm getting nice planes here and there, especially on the arcade side from the bottom view. Then twisting the shape to the top while smoothing, so this helps defining the shapes of the arcade. And I think that at least from the basic point of view I'm looking at, I think I'm getting more and more ready to initiate a retopology. And you will see that after the retopo we'll be able to still sculpt the shape with more accuracy, of course, and with much more constraint. And we'll have a topology that is good enough for us for doing changes, at least wide changes regarding proportions and things like that. So we'll be able to explore in a much more easy way. But also things that we didn't add there will help a lot. For instance, like you can see that let's take the mask brush, and you can see that if I'm adding a bit of darkness for the eyebrows over there, for the lashes, sorry, for the mouth a little bit, while being very gentle. I don't know why I cannot paint anymore. Okay. Very gentle, and you can see also like adding eyebrows. You can see how this helps a lot to read the shapes. So this is something we can definitely take into account when dealing with the design. And you can see how this this looks much better already. So I'm pretty confident right now having this sketch that we can go and try to do a retopo. Okay, so to do that, first I'm going to save. Okay, this is quite important, and then I'm going to press Control Shift S and add a new iteration of my file. So you can simply press Control Shift S, and when you have the Blender file view open, you can press plus. It's on my second monitor right now, and you can save as a new version of the file. So there, one other thing I want to do before going in the retopo, I want to clear the mask, and I want to have the mouth flatter, sorry, and also maybe I can tweak even more the corners of the mouth over there, and maybe with the crease brush I can add back this sort of volume called the nodus that goes and wrap around the bottom part and the top part, and I can smooth it a bit more. So this is quite important, so let me add it so it works much better. Okay, right now we are ready. Maybe let's just check from the side. I think the nose is quite nice. I think the eyes are quite okay. The ear are quite okay too. And I think it's the right time for now to start doing a retopo. So I will be switching screen for the retopo part because I'm usually doing it with a mouse, and here I'm on the Cintiq for the sculpt. So let's do that quickly. It will be a slight hiccup in the recording, and then I will show you my setup for the retopo part. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to set up this file to be ready for the retopology of my character. So what I will do is I will first make sure that I have a correct name. So I will call this sculpt, I will call this eyes, and I will put everything in a collection by pressing M, move from local view. Apparently I've Control M, sorry, no, it's M, it should be M, remove from local view. So I've messed up with my shortcuts. Let me look at the key map. Let's press the key binding and press M, and I think I've added move to layer, I've added vertex paint. Is it that? Oh, sorry, I need to go out of local view. Okay, sure. And now M and new collection, and let's call this sculpt. Okay, and press slash again, and now I want to be in the center of this mesh, so press Shift S, cursor to selected. Let's add some geometry. Let's add a quad in this context, and add enter in edit mode, add a cut in the center, remove the side part, and let's press Q and add a mirror. So if you don't have the mirror modifier in your quick favorite, you can add modifier and right click over there and add it to the quick favorite. And in edit mode, I've also added the clipping option in the quick favorite. So you can see here I have the clip, which basically enables this part. Okay. So now I can bring this forward. Let's press make sure we are in median point for the cursor. It's comma key and median point, semicolon key, sorry, and median point. And I'm going to be ready for the retopo. So for the retopo, also what I want to do is instead of being in matcap, I want random color or single, or in fact, I'm going to go in Studio, which is going to be best, I think, like that. And I want this object to have a material that will be, for instance, bluish, or something like that. And I want to display the wire, so I'm going to press Q and display wire. If you don't have this in your quick favorite, again, it's in the viewport display while selecting the object, and you right click on this option and you add it to the quick favorite. and also in front. So I'm going to add in front again. It's there, and I've added it in the quick favorites. And so now I will be ready to deal with my topology. So you can see that there is this sort of slider over there that's quite interesting, because it enables you to fade out the non-active geometry. So you can remove it if you don't want it. I'm going to add a little bit of it, and also I want to deal with the back face in the viewport display. So I think it's over there, and I want back face culling. So I will be able to see the front side of the polygons and not the back side, which is cool. Next thing is to enable snapping. So the shortcut for that is Shift Tab. And I also want to snap to the face. I want not back face culling, but I want align to project individual elements, rotate and scale. I'm pressing Shift in order to select multiple. And I think like that, when pressing, when moving and doing something, I'm ready to snap to the correct geometry, which is quite nice. Okay, so now for the retopo, let me also, by the way, right click and join the timeline. And for the retopo, it's going to be quite easy. I'm going to maximize this space by pressing Control Space. And you know what? This is quite hard to see, so I'm going to remove the fade like that. And for now, the only thing I want to do is to extrude the different faces. Let me see if adding cavity could help to see the volumes a bit better. I'm right clicking the objects and adding the smooth. So apparently cavity is not really nice. I want the valley, sorry. Let's try with walled or both. So it increases the zone. It's like a fake ambient occlusion, as you can see. And I think this can be interesting for us. I'm gonna remove the ridge, or like, yeah, I'm gonna try something like that. Okay, just to have a much more interesting view of the thing. So now what I'm doing is that I'm right clicking while pressing Control in order to add the first loop that we want, and the first loop that we want is called the mask. So the mask is basically going around the face and is going to help me define the shape of the eyebrows, of the eye, and basically many places that will be quite important for the later connection and of the different facial features. So now I can maybe define the jawline. So let's add one more cut over there, maybe one cut over there. This is going to be an animated model, so I'm not going to bother myself with the density. I'm going to reach for a medium poly character, so it's going to be alright adding some cuts. Okay, so let's add the jawline. So I've extruded the side plane, and now I can extrude, follow the jawline like this, making sure I have enough topology to do that. Something like that will be fine. Then I will extrude the top of the nose like this until I can separate it. So I will be able to over there extrude another loop that will let me add one cut over there, and I press G to project it, and there I think I'm gonna add a loop like this. So one tool that I'm using a lot is the F2 add-on. So if you don't have it enabled, you can go in add-on, press type F2 over there, and you will be able to enable it. And this add-on is super cool because when you have an angle like this, you can select the vertex that is in the corner, and you can put your mouse in the direction where you want to generate a face, and you press F, and it generates a face. So here, if I want to redirect the flow, I can extrude a vertex, select this one and press F, and as you can see, I can generate quickly a face that will enable me to go down here down the face. So I can do something like this, for instance. Okay. This is the loft line, which is a quite important landmark regarding the topology. And one other thing that I usually want to have in my mesh, but it's very particular it's very specific, sorry, is I want a loop that connects the side here of the nose. So I'm going to add it, and that follows exactly the same loop, the same pattern than this one. So I'm gonna make a small space over there. I'm going to connect things a bit, and then I'm going to, this is going to be very small, but this is going to be quite important to define some of the space that we have over there. And for later on, if we decide to animate this character, and so therefore to create a facial rig, we'll have much more definition on the corner of the lips. So I'm going to do that. Here I'm going to close the face. So in order to close the face, you know that using Blender you can select an edge like this and press F in order to generate a new face. So here I'm going to press F, 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 and you can see it generates the full loop, which is quite nice. So over there, like I have the loop that goes around there. Here, this loop will come on top of the nostril. And now I will be able to add one more. So let's add one more for now, and let's try to separate the nose as one piece. So I'm going to go around here the nose topology, something like that. And basically this loop is going to go around the nose, just separating the nose into its own piece. Okay, you can see that this separates the area of the nose, this separates the mask, this separates the loft line, this will basically join back to the nose, and we'll have a similar loop for the mouth. Okay, and later on when we'll deal with the mouth. So basically for now I can fill there, and maybe, you know what, I'm gonna extrude one piece there that I can connect there, and this will I can maybe already join this by pressing M and at last, and I can already maybe start to expand this loop a little bit more in order to prepare to add one more loop there. So I can extrude, not extrude, but I can expand this loop, scaling, moving it. I know it will snap, and I can already add one more loop, and this loop I can go in a view where I see all the vertices and press G in order to project it. Okay, so adding one more cut over there will lead me to a closed piece, so I can close the geometry there. And here I'm pretty sure that I can easily now generate the faces that will go down, as you can see, the nose, and I can close the gap. So that's quite nice. Let's temporarily remove the visibility of the mirror modifier so it's easier to see there. And now I know that I want this kind of shape for the nostrils. So here I think I have an issue regarding the faces. No, apparently it's okay. I don't know why it's way bigger in terms of, it's maybe okay, it's maybe the cavity option, so I'm okay with that. So one thing I want is, like, for the nostrils I want another separation there, so I'm gonna do that, and at this point there I know that this goes inside, so I will extrude a loop that goes inside, okay, and that comes back toward the center. So here I can add two loops by pressing Ctrl R and scrolling the mouse wheel, and then I have this loop that protects, that goes around basically the nostril, the wing if you want, and that goes toward the center, which is alright. So now I will extrude this line that goes toward the center of the nose, and I will have to define the plane, the bottom plane of the nostril, and we'll do that soon. Okay, but before, maybe I can merge those two vertices by pressing M, and then I can add another vertex by pressing Ctrl R, and I can join maybe this. Here I can join this, adding another vertex by pressing Ctrl R. I can add one there, selecting this edge, and I can fill the missing pieces over there. So now here I know I will need to close the gap, so it won't be that easy for now. So let's bring maybe one more cut on the nose there. I can project it by pressing G, and usually you have a lot of cuts in the center because it defines the center line, and it spreads on the top. So here I will be able to have much more topology for joining the nose and the center line, which usually I like to have that. So adding two cuts, I can project them again by pressing G, and here from the bottom, like you see the projection like was not well placed. But for now what I can do is, maybe I will come back later on, but for now what I can do is I can already close the gap for the bottom plane right there. Maybe I can extrude using the F2 add-on some new loops like this, following the border of the nostril. Okay, so this goes over there, this goes there. Okay, and for now, even though it's not perfect, I think this is good enough so we can progress. So I can generate other faces there, maybe closing this one, and there I'm not super happy with the way it goes. So maybe I can add another cut. Maybe I can join those two vertices together, and here I can solve the puzzle like this. Okay. So this is I think the topology of the nose right now is okay. It's not ideal because like I really like this flowing toward the center, which is like usually what happens from an anatomical point of view, but I think we have to move things around a little bit more to have like a better control of the shapes. But for now, I think it's good enough. We have enough information to generate the next step. I'm gonna add a cut over there because this is going to define the crease on the top of the nose. It's something that is very Disney-like, to be honest with you. And now I can close like this, and like this, the top of the nose, which looks alright. And if I ever need to have much more topology on the top, I can do that. Press G to project it, and again, because I didn't sew that, I need to bring it back toward the center. And as you can see now, here it happens that I have a nice topology, I think, for the nose. We're gonna probably fix some stuff later on, but at least for now it's okay. So here, if I'm selecting this, you can see I have 9 vertices in the bottom, which is not ideal. So I can add one more cut there, flowing to the center. I can maybe press G twice to flow back this toward the center, toward the top, sorry. And now I can find a way to close this. So to close this, I'm gonna basically do that. And I think that for now it's going to be alright. So let's select this, press I, G. So I will basically do an inset, and G will do the projection, the usual projection that we have. Okay, so for now, I think that this is fine for the nostril. Okay. So as you can see, we managed to control the topology of the nose at a very specific location, which is nice because let's isolate this back and remove the in front, not the in front, but let's hide for a moment the view over there, and let's shade smooth this. You can see that when adding a subdivision surface, we have the right volume for the nose. Okay, we have the right crease, and this is super cool because we still were able to maintain the shape without any trouble correctly with the right amount of density for this polygon, for this area. So the next difficult area will be the ear, but we're going to deal with that later on. But let's finish the mouse for now. So the mouse, usually what I'm doing is that I'm extruding some stuff directly like this. And one way to do that actually is to select everything, to scale the loop. So I'm selecting the loop by pressing double click because I'm in the emulate 3-button mouse, because I have the emulate 3-button mouse option, as you remember. Or the other way, if you don't have this option turned on, is to press Alt and left click to select the loop, which is the old way of doing that. Okay, so let me bring that here, and we'll have to over there smooth things out for the loop. But for now, I'm just placing the direction of the mouse, and here I can go in sculpt mode, and pressing shift I can smooth the loop a little bit, but this is not going to snap to the geometry below, so you have to remember that. But this is going to help me redirect the flow of my loops in an easier way. And then I come back, select the geometry that I've touched, and press G to project it back. Okay. So I'm quite happy with the way we are right now. So now the things that I need to do is probably lower down this piece and add one more cut that I can integrate by pressing G. And maybe here I can select everything and smooth a little bit by pressing Q and smooth. And if you don't have this in your quick favorite menu, you can right click. While being in vertex mode, you can add the smooth vertices option. Okay, and now when you press Q, it's there. The cool thing is that even when you're in face mode or in edge mode, you can still press Q and the option will still work. Which is not the case, which apparently the option doesn't exist in edge mode and in face mode. So now I'm going to again simply extrude, select this loop and extrude it, and maybe instead of extruding it, I'm just going to scale it on the z-axis, okay, to make it to make it to put it at the right location, something like that. So here it's going to be very tight, okay, but this is normal. This is the area where things are quite tight, the corner of the mouth. And one thing that I want is I want a very symmetrical number of vertices. So here I'm going to slide this loop by pressing G twice, okay, but I'm going to rotate it a little bit like that. And I want to have another loop that basically joins the top and the bottom vertices. So adding a new loop there. This one is quite aligned. Now I want to move this one there. And 1, 2, 3, as you can see, I need to add 1, 2, and 3 loops over there that will basically mirror the top ones. And one thing that I can do is I can go in mirror mode over there. I can press N, and in the tool, not N, sorry, I can go in the options over there, and I can use mesh boundary. I can remove the mesh boundary options, so I can now manipulate the boundary of my topology, and I will basically spread, as you can see, the loops so they fade out, which is a nice way to do it using the sculpt mode. Okay. And because I've moved too much things, I can also use now the shrink wrap modifier, and I can use the sculpt, and you can see it shrinks everything to the mesh, and I can press Ctrl A on top of the modifier to apply it. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to connect those pieces together until the end, and you will see you will have a triangle, and then I will add a cut that I can project by pressing G once. And now what I can do is I can select this loop and press V to disconnect it, okay? And I can, in this context there, I can merge those vertices together like that. Or you know what, instead of that, I'm going to press V to disconnect my vertices together, press M there, and this loop shouldn't connect to there, so I can press V again, and V again, sorry. So let's remove that, and let's press the F2 add-on to generate. Basically what I want is this loop connecting to this one. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm gonna do. So I want this to connect to this one, so let's connect it. And what I've made wrong is... okay, so I have an issue. When I have an issue, usually what I do is I destroy things and I redo it. So I know the top one is going to connect to this one, so this is what I'm gonna do. And I know the bottom one, the top one over there is going to connect with the bottom one. So I have this and I have this, okay? So now that I have my proper loops for the leaps, I can still add some loops there. And let me polish the loops around. I'm gonna try to pinch everything there, but before doing that, I'm gonna smooth once, press G to snap everything. And I'm going to use the proportional editing, but the connected one, pressing Alt O, and this will help me move things down a little bit and really find the, it's like a grab brush if you want, and this will help me really find the shapes that we've done in sculpting. Still making sure that the lines align correctly. And you can see also like how we have the center line that we should really find in terms of shape, like a M shape, okay, which works now much better, as you can see. So I think that for now, regarding the topology of the bottom part, we are alright. So let's move to the side and the eyes. Okay, so pressing Alt O, and Alt O to disconnect the modifier, the proportional editing. Sorry, what we can do right now is to try to connect the things on the top. So one thing that I can do is maybe I can bring those vertices together, pressing M, okay, and trying to have a better flow toward the eye. So you can see how those lines are connecting to the eye, which is nice. Okay, I will have to open a bit more this piece. And here I truly believe that I need to add some lines, so I'm going to add a cut, and this is going to be perfect because this is going to follow the shapes that I want. Maybe I need to add more cuts over there to define the jaw much better. So here I have 3 vertices that I can add, 3 cuts that I can add. Why? Because simply I'm going to be able to join them like this. 2 cuts over there. Again, I can join them like this. Maybe here I will have a pull. So I'm going to extrude and do something like that, because here I know that I will be able to separate the flow. So this is going to go that direction, but the mouse from the corner, it's going to flow back there, which is going to be good. And it's going to avoid having some too much stretching. Here I can extrude, When I say extrude, actually it's not extruding, it's generating the face. And here I can add 1 cut, I can slide this one, maybe I can select this one, and press G to move it. Let's connect this one, adding a cut over there, and you can see how this puzzle is being closed properly. Let's add a bit of smoothing with those faces, so I can press 3 to go in face mode and smooth a little bit, maybe not the bottom one, smooth, and press G to snap everything back. And there I think that I will need to have much more loops there, so at least 2. So I'm gonna add 2 loops there and probably 1 more loop there. Again, we're not dealing with a game topology, so I'm okay with having more geometry. I wouldn't approach a topology for game in that way, but with the same idea, at least with the same concept of loops, but not with the same amount of topology. But here I'm saving some time. And I know that here you see the loops. Probably this one is going to flow. Probably this one is going to float there. This one is going to float there, and you see how I have like two cuts. So one cut there that's going to connect to this one cut there that's going to connect to this one. Here I see a flow that calls me over there that I can bring. Here I see a flow there. Here I can add a cut that I can place, and maybe one more over there. And let's try like this, and you can see how this can flow. So we have this loop that I think I'm gonna connect to this one. So let's do that. I'm gonna connect this one to this one by just an edge, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna add by pressing Ctrl R 1, 2, 3, and 4 cuts. And then I can close that pretty nicely. And 1, 2, 3, and 4 cuts. And let's try to, and one more to connect the things. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and one more over there. And here I can finish the things like that, the thing like that. So this is one way to do it. So this is too tight in this area, so what I can do is I can smooth everything multiple times, and then using the sculpt mode I can push that back. Maybe before doing that, maybe I can push this line a bit back like this, and here I can select everything and smooth things, smooth things multiple times, bringing back this area to the back. Just to say it, because I think it's really interesting, there is an add-on that is called Smooth Preserve Brush, I think, that enables you to grab while snapping, while maintaining the volume of your mesh. This is a super cool add-on that costs like I think $7 or something like that. I really encourage you to buy it if you are into retopology and into modeling a lot in Blender, because this helps preserve the volume in a very nice way of your mesh. So you can see that here I'm getting I think a nice flow. I've controlled the pole over there. Here I have a pole too. Maybe I'm gonna slide this geometry down, something like that. I'm going to try to dive more and more toward the top of the head. Let's do the eyes. So I'm gonna extrude or generate those faces there. And then here you can see how from this point I'm able to extrude this full loop, and I'm going to directly place the corner of like the shape of the eyelid, which usually is a good thing, like in topology, when doing retopology or topology directly. You want to align things first and then fill the gap. So here I know that this flows to the back, so I can scale it and make it flow to the back. Let's move it like this. Let's align some stuff, some lines better. So what I'm looking at is this loop, this loop, this loop, this loop, this loop, this loop. Basically, I'm looking at the flow and how everything flows together. Okay, so going back there, making this nice shape flowing to the center. So you can see I don't care about like the loops for now. I'm only caring about placing the outer side of the eye, something like that. Okay, and now I need to care about like having more geometry on the top, because I know I will need to mirror. So this is going to be mirrored, this is going to be mirrored. Maybe I can bevel this loop by pressing Ctrl B. This is a nice way to generate a new loop in Blender. So this is approximately there, there, maybe one more there. It's okay if it's not perfectly symmetrical in terms of loop, but at least you got to have the same density, the same approximative density. So you'll be able to, when you close and when you rig the character, to have a nice, at least the same amount of volume around this eye. Okay. So now that I have this, easy stuff, I add some cuts, press G to project them. Okay, I can even now follow the inner loop. So one way to do it clearly is to hide some loops, and here I can simply be sure to project this loop to the right location. Same thing over there. Pressing Alt H to make everything come back. I can add another one, pressing G to project it, another one there, pressing G to project it. And you can see how it's easily controlled around the eye. And now that I have this, I really want to slide some loops to make them less tight over there. So pressing G twice helps me a lot doing that. And also going in the sculpt mode, I can smooth things. By pressing Shift, make the inner loop tighter over there, and I can add one cut over there to make the edge of the corner of the eye even more straight, pinched. Let's do that. You can see multiple colors there. It's because it's the face set of the sculpt mode. Don't care about that for now. If you want to remove them, you can go in the, I think in the face set options over there, and you can say randomize color, not randomize color, but you can initialize by loose part. This will remove the face sets, so something like that. And you can change the randomize color if you want to have a better color, a clear color. Let's press smooth a little bit, and now I will still need to add a new shrink wrap modifier on top of this mesh and apply it so it snaps back all the things that I've added on the mesh. So here we are quite good to go, I think. The next few things that I will... Here it's still a bit too stretched, if you see, there and there. I'm not a huge fan of this area. So I'm gonna try to do something to manage, maybe to manage to bring the pull higher. So let's do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to do this at least. So one way to do it is to add another cut on that flows back to the eye, which is a possibility, maybe a nice one, because I will be able to define more things near the nose. and this will flow like this, so I can add more geometry there, and so this has to flow back there. So let me press V, or at least delete this face. Okay, no, was not a good idea. So I'm gonna do that again, A small issue over there. I know that I need this to flow in the right location. So maybe, you know what? Maybe it's the right time to delete some more faces. I know that this can come there. Maybe I can do this. So I know this will come around the mouse. This will come there and there. And this can merge to this one. And here, of course, this is not working. This should go down toward the center. But I don't want to add another loop. Maybe I can bevel this. Maybe I can bevel this temporarily, so this goes down, and here I can generate this, and here you can see how I'm screwed. So maybe in fact, you know what, maybe pressing Ctrl and double clicking there allows me to come back to where I was. This is an interesting puzzle. So one way to solve a puzzle like that while dealing with topology is to try to collapse some loops. So here I've collapsed this by pressing Ctrl and double click to select the loop and collapse the loop. It's in the delete menu, by the way. I have this loop, I have this loop, this loop. This is going fine. I think I've solved the issue, or at least I'm back to where I was, I think. So okay, I think I got the things right, at least for the amount of polygons that I want. Yeah. Okay, let's stay like this. Maybe we'll have to rework a bit some shapes later on, but for now at least it's okay. And let's try to do the topology of the ear right now. So the topology of the ear will be, for now I'm going to disconnect everything from the head, and I will basically try to follow this, which is the LX. You can see it's already in the wrong direction due to the back face visualization. I can press Shift N with everything selected, or this selected, Shift N, and recalculate and inverse to the inside to see my polygon. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to follow this. I can also right click to make it look correct, sorry. And also making sure I project this by pressing G. And I'm gonna press Shift H to hide everything else from what I'm working on, which is the ear. And I'm gonna fade also the loop. So you can see I'm trying to radiate each time the loop toward the center, which is a good thing. Okay, so I think I've added too much annotations over there. Okay. So now that I have this, I need to find a way to generate the volume of this helix. So one way to do it will be to extrude on top like this, and to basically generate the volume from, like if I were adding a cap, you know, to the outer volume. So I'm gonna do that there, and I will be missing, I think, some some parts there. So here I know I will be extruding the rest toward the bottom, and there I can add another cut, and here another cut, and here I can close the gap like this. So it's not super ideal, I would say. I would prefer to actually follow the bottom, so I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna follow the bottom line like this. I'm gonna try to find a better way to move the topology later on. So for now, let's do this. So the outer cap is okay approximately. We are going to rework the shape a bit later on, but I know that I have this. This is going from the top, and this can connect back there, there, and over there. So let's bring back this to the center. Let's extrude this there, and now what I can do is exactly the same thing that I've done for the cap, but this time let's do it inside. So I can create a thickness for the inside. Okay, and this is where the visualization that we've added, the cavity thing, is quite interesting, because we can see better where the volume actually. So you can see how easily there I can generate the volume for the inside, and this will help me define even more the lobe of the ear, of the bottom part. So you can see how everything looks interesting right now. One thing that we can do is we can extrude this part, which will be the Y of the loop. So if you look at an ear, you will see that it looks like, this piece looks like a Y shape. So we have a small bump in the inside there, and this goes like this, like a wrench shape or a Y shape. Okay, and this goes and follows the shape until it connects with the tympan there. That protects the eardrum actually. Something like that. Okay. So we can connect now things. This with this with this. I need to add a cut. Let's slide this. I need to add a cut. Okay. Here maybe I need to add a cut to extrude, to generate and generate. So I think we're good to go like this. Let's look at from the front. I think it's okay, as you can see. And here maybe I can generate, either I can generate a face like this, but I'm not, I think I still want to have more face on the top. So I will be adding 2 cuts. That will help me define, that will help me basically connect the hole over there. And if I'm selecting everything there, you can see I have 9 faces, which is not ideal. So let me remove one loop. And when I say it's not ideal, is that I know I will have a triangle when joining the things together. And here I think I'm good regarding the face. So yes, I will be able to generate this to this, having 2 triangles and adding another cut there to close the gap. So you can see how we have this nice Y shape, and here this nice shape too that follows the rest. Again, I'm not inventing, I'm not learning by heart some topology stuff. I'm just trying to follow the shapes, and I know the shapes. And this is like the most important thing to remember, is that when you know the shapes, you know how to connect them, how to synthesize them using a topology. And this is what you want to learn, is more about the anatomy rather than the topology. Okay, so here I want to connect this and this. Maybe I I know I will have the hole over there. Maybe let's try to connect these things there. Let's try to generate a face. Here we're a bit screwed. So maybe I can add a cut like this to close the puzzle. So is it good? I don't think it's good. So let me delete some stuff, and maybe I will, from this I will follow the edge there. I think this looks much nicer, even though we have a pull there, which is okay, I guess. Let's do this. Maybe we can go straight now there. And this goes to the inside of the ear, which basically from now on we can try to connect this piece. So let's extrude one quad there, and let's add one more loop. I think we can also, maybe let's try to connect this, and let's for now assume that we have this piece. So this connects like this, so it's not a perfect loop, but it's still alright. So maybe we can extrude, we can press V, sorry, to disconnect and try to find a better solution. So a better solution will maybe be something like that. And it's like, again, like for now this is like trying to sort a puzzle, sorry. This is what I'm trying to do, as you can see. Maybe I will merge those vertex together, and now I have like this that I can extrude, and this will be to the center of the ear, and I will try to fade the loops in a way that doesn't stretch too much. And here, let's do how much vertices they have. I have 9 again. So maybe I can add one more there. Not super happy with this. This doesn't define the shapes well. Maybe I can connect that there. Having a much better protection over there for the eardrum. You know what? Even this for me is a call to reconnect the loop toward the center like this, to have like this protection. I know it's not going to be super fine because I will have many loops to connect back to the head. So let's go back and let's assume this for now, and here I have 10 edges. I can close that maybe, and here I have 8 edges, 8 vertices, and let's fill the loop like this. Even though this should be a true hole with a cartoon character, usually we can go like closing the loop, and in any case I still think we'll have some hairs going on top of the ear, so it's not going to be a huge issue. But you can see that now we have the ear that is almost finished. We need to still do the back, which is hard. Stay with me. We'll have to close that. So the first thing we have to do is this, which basically is a way to add, to protect the outer edge and to create the thickness of the backside. Something like that. And then we will have to again extrude. So here I'm going to extrude a triangle there. Not extrude, but to generate a triangle. and I'm going to extrude to generate, sorry, in this case, new faces. For the back, trying to follow the curve of the back of the ear that we've defined in the sculpt. Maybe I can extrude directly those edges to save some time. And here I will generate this triangle. And why I've done that, it's because now I can add safely a loop that I can project, and this gives me even more detail like this. And I know that this connected to a triangle on the top, and that I can create what we call a diamond quad, which is this sort of quad. Okay, so now I have the back of the ear, and now it's going to be the famous nightmare of connecting the head back to the ear. So one way to do that is to press Alt H to bring back the thing. So one way to do that is, like, first I need to add some cuts there that I know will be quite important. Now I can try to, okay, first connect the top. Let's try to do that. Okay, let's try to remove as much stretch as possible in those loops, so they look like they're facing each other. Something like that. Okay, this connecting there. Here I have an issue, is that I need to join 2 with 1. So there are multiple ways to do that. One way is to maybe redirect the flow down. So it means that I can connect that there, adding a cut, and this will connect like this. So this is one way to do that. I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. So one other way will be to split this, so to extrude this and to split it like that, which can be okay. One other way will be to try to remove the detail in the ear. So I'm gonna collapse this edge and collapse another one. You can see this will create over there a quad, okay, like this, and here we have a quad. So this is a solution, but the issue is that I have this polygon that is stretched too much. So I'm gonna try to stay like that for the outside, and I'm gonna try to remove this and to solve the puzzle in a better way. So I know that this can come there, I can do that. I know that I will have to do this in this situation, and I know that I need to close this thing. Okay, so maybe I can generate a face there. Let me check. Okay, maybe let's remove this. Maybe I can do something smart about the shape like this. Okay, I will try to do that. I will try to extrude this edge and scale it down, connect it there, adding a cut down there, and here I'm a bit screwed unless I once again. Okay, I'm going to press Shift Tab to remove the snapping. I'm going to slide those 2 loops together, moving this thing down. Adding 1 cut there will help me. So remember, I don't have the snapping over there, that's why I'm not messing up the back. And now I can properly fill the gaps there. So Can I do that properly in a better way? Let me try to merge this vertex. This is a way to do that. I'm not a huge fan though. I'm gonna merge this loop because I think this is adding too much, so I'm basically going to collapse it. And let's add a triangle there, and let's try to fix this triangle by adding a cut. So I can collapse an edge on this loop, adding back the loop like this. So this creates a nice shape there. Here the issue is that I have still a triangle to solve, but I may be able to solve the full thing by collapsing this loop like this. So I have solved the issue, and I may be able now to redesign a little bit the shapes and basically fade out the shapes and rebalance the full topology. So this was a bit hard to do, but I think this is something that is working fine. Maybe I can, destroy this because I'm not a very huge fan of the pull that I had in the center. So I'm gonna try to close the gap there again, following the shape. Let's remove those inner vertices. Let's redo that once more there. Pressing G twice to slide the thing. And maybe now this is 10 vertices, therefore I can connect them like this, and I have solved my full ear in a much better way, and it connects to the side of the face in a much straighter way. As you can see, it's straight. Okay, so I've messed a lot. I've moved a lot of vertices, so I need to add a shrink wrap. So you see it connects back properly, and I applied a shrink wrap, so this is much better now. And now the thing that I can do is I can select those vertices, those edges, sorry. So I've moved in edge selection by pressing the 2 key, but you should already know that. I'm going to realign some loops. And now I'm going to basically extrude things like that. Oh, I forgot to use the snapping. So pressing Shift Tab, I can re-enable snapping. And let's do that for the last one. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Snap everything. Let's smooth, scale, press G, and let's now select this loop and close the gap by pressing F multiple times. And let's go back with the sculpt and move down this piece. Let's smooth everything for the forehead. Basically now we're going to try to sculpt the forehead. Something like that. Again, the cool thing is the shrink wrap modifier that we can use. Shrink wrap, we select the sculpt, we apply the shrink wrap. We are getting close to the end of this retopology, as you can see. So the next thing we can do is connect the top. So I forgot to connect this one, so quite sad with this one. Let's delete it and let's connect it. Let's connect the ear directly to the top like this. This is going to be much more interesting shape-wise. Yes, okay. And now for the side of the ear, what I can do is something like this. 1, 2, 3. I connect. I go around the mesh. I don't know how many cuts I will need, but for now I can do that. Let's again extrude more things there. And I need to start to radiate a bit more for the forehead, so that's why I'm doing that. Okay, I'm gonna push back to the center, extrude a loop, extrude some things and scale them. And here I need to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So I can also add 1 and say here I want 5. There's another way to do that. And here I know that I will be able to connect things. From the back point of view, I can connect them directly like this. I need to bevel this loop, so I select it and press Ctrl B, like that. And I know that here I can add 1 cut to compensate for the stretch. Okay, so let's select everything for the forehead, for the cranium, sorry. Maybe not this, and press smooth a couple of times. Let's press Alt S, Shift, sorry, let's come back first. Let's select the missing part. Let's remove this. Okay, remove this. I'm pressing C, by the way, to select. And Shift Tab to remove the snapping. Press Q and smooth a few times. Alt S to regain the volume that was lost. I can also continue the extrusion over there, and maybe here I can do the bottom piece. So let's do that. So this is going to be snapped also, so I'm going to select this and press G to snap it. And also you remember that Shift Tab is for bringing back the snap, so that's why I'm doing this. Okay, let's connect that, adding loop cuts on the fly. 1, 2 maybe. Okay, I'm good with that. Let's select this loop. So in order to select it quickly, I can select the first vertex and press Ctrl and left click to the end. So basically this is a shortcut in Blender that enables you to select the shortest path between your selection. Okay, so I'm going to do that in order to close the cranium section. So let's reselect the cranium section and press Shift Tab again to remove the part. Okay, and now maybe it's time to add a shrink wrap back. Selecting the mesh, applying the shrink wrap. I will detour the ear after. Don't worry, but for now I'm okay like that. And for the bottom part of the cranium, I know I will do something like this, following basically the base of the cranium. So Shift Tab again to re-enable the snapping. I'm forgetting that all the time. Here I'm connecting this to this. 1 cut. Let's add a few more cuts, and I think this can directly go to this one, this 2. I can remove 1 cut over there, adding 1 cut there, finishing the thing, and here I can slide this one there to connect it there, adding 1 more there, 2 there, and I have the back of the cranium being solved. So now it's a matter of selecting the thing, deselecting this. So now to deselect with the C key, you can use the middle mouse button and paint. So I'll smooth, but Shift Tab in order to remove the snapping. Smooth multiple times, Alt S to scale along the normal. And maybe here this goes down a little bit down. A little bit more, sorry, and I can now use the shrink wrap again, and I can select my mesh and press Alt A on the modifier, sorry. And here I think I'm quite good to extrude to extrude some stuff, but before, what I want to do is I want to extrude this to start generating the bottom of the jaw. So I think here we can extrude this multiple times. I'm going to extrude another loop around the bottom of the jaw like this. You can see it's quite easily done. Let's re-add a shrink wrap because I forgot to and apply it because I forgot to enable snapping using Shift tab. And now you can see how I can easily regenerate some of the loops for the bottom of the jaw. It's just a matter of filling the puzzle here, but it's quite a simple puzzle, at least for now. Let's do this, remove this line, let's connect this together, and now I can pretty much go from the back to this edge loop. Oh, I have an issue. Okay, let's remove that. And okay, I have another issue over there. Let's remove that. I'm fine. Let's do that and push to the end. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can add that. Let's close the gaps. Okay, so I need much more over there. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 1, 2. So I should be able now to press Ctrl F and use the grid fill add-on, which is not the case. So why isn't it happening? So here, here, and here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1. I'm missing one loop. Let's add one there for now. And as you can see, I will have to relax things a bit more. Let's go in the sculpting view and push that forward like this. This is not very ideal, the amount of loops that we have in the back of the head. But we can try to later on find a better solution. Let's add a shrink wrap modifier, adding it, applying it. Okay, I think we're quite going in the right direction there. The last thing I need to do is to maybe here close the under plate of the jaw. So let's do that like this. You can see how this can connect to there, and here I want 1, 2 at least, so I know I will be able to do something like this, and here one more cut will bring me to this solution, which is wrong, which is not very nice. So probably I will have to add one more cut there and close the thing like this. So if you look at it, this piece can be smoothed a little bit, and here we are following, as you can see, pretty much the underplate of the jawline, which is quite nice. And you can see that the opening for the neck is quite clear right now. It's this one. So in order to do that, to create the neck, what I can do is simply I can press Shift Tab to remove the snapping, and I can extrude the neck like if it was a cylinder. And I can also right click and use the loop tool add-on to create a loop, but apparently it's not working so well. So one way to make it happen better is to apply the mirror modifier to make the loop tool circle. So now it's a perfect circle, as you can see. Like this. Okay, I'm gonna scale it down. Extrude, scale, extrude, down, scale. Okay, something like that, making sure I still have a symmetrical mesh. And now what I can do is I can double click the center line, same thing in the front, press V to disconnect this, press L on the left side, remove this and add back a mirror modifier. And in edit mode I can add back the clipping option. So selecting the center line basically, I can make sure to reproject it to the center by pressing G and Z and Y, sorry, and X, sorry. Let's spread a little bit some loops from the back. I'm not a huge fan of this, so maybe I will be able to destroy it and redo it. But for now, let's add a shrink wrap modifier, selecting the sculpt. As you can see, everything goes back to normal. I can also try to smooth things in the back while still maintaining the shrink wrap in place, which helps a lot. Okay, let's apply the shrink wrap modifier. Let's reapply the center line to the center in both directions to be sure it's okay. So I have an issue over there, I've selected too much. Same in the, wow, I made a huge mistake over there. Whoa. I made a huge mistake. Okay, things were not snapped to the center. Here it's snapped. Here it's snapped to the center too. Let's apply the shrink wrap. Okay, we're good to go now. Again, so the face set, I'm quite unhappy with it. So again, you can initialize face set by loose part again. I'm gonna smooth things a bit more there, trying to round the loops for the bottom side. Adding some smoothing over there is quite easy because you can just tap and it works. And I'm not a huge fan of this pole, to be honest with you. I think it's not ideal. But it's let me check if I can move it to a better location. From the bottom it's okay there, but here it bothers me a little bit. So, and in any case I think I have too much loops in the back there. So let's see how I can remove some of them. So I'm gonna destroy a lot of things there by removing some topology in the back. And I'm gonna try to, same thing with that, and I'm gonna try to redo it. in a way that makes sense. But in fact, you know what? I think it was going fine actually. So I don't think I will be able to do much better in this context. Maybe here I can join this loop to remove one loop down. So here I'm able to do that, pressing Shift Tab to snap. I don't know how many I need to add, but probably that much. And I think at least one loop less is still fine for me. Okay, something like that. I think I can bevel this one and scroll it. Still missing one, I think. Oh, that was too much. Yeah, I think it's much better. I have less loops from the back. What I can do is I can select this and smooth it a little bit. And now what I can do, I think it's much better like this. I've controlled. The pole is still over there. I would prefer to have it on the top. But I think it's still okay. One thing that usually I like to do in this context, and maybe you know what, maybe I'm gonna do it just because it's nice to share that with you. I'm gonna use the shrink wrap and snap back the things to the mesh. But one thing I want to do is I want to push the cladomastoid muscles. So I will have to destroy a lot of things again, but it's going to be for the better. Actually, so I'm going to delete some vertices over there. I'm going to delete this too. And now I'm going to, like, I know the under plate of the jaw is fine, so I can skip it. But what I want is I want to extrude this down to the neck, which represents the what we call the sternocleidomastoid muscles, and are quite important for a neck, especially for the twist of the neck. So this will be a nice thing to add. So I can merge some vertices. And let's add one loop there. And let's try from there to extrude down. The issue with this technique is that we will have too much in the bottom. We'll have too much geometry, as you will see. But for now, I'm only reaching for the right topology. We can still redirect some loops in the jaw. So let's continue with that. And here we can say this flows to the back. So let's do that. I can connect this together. Here I see this is quite hard to solve actually, but we are going to solve it, don't worry. Here I can try to do this. No, I need to connect it. Maybe let's do this. I have two loops, so one is going to be there. So I can try to go with that, which is not ideal. As you can see, it's not very interesting visually speaking. Maybe adding a bit of smooth in the whole piece will help me visualize a better situation, a better plan. So I can separate things out over there. Maybe adding this back to the top. Maybe I can join this to the top too, along with that. Something like that. The issue I have is that we have a pole underneath, but it's well placed, I think. Actually, we have two, which bothers me a bit. So what if I... No, this loop is fine. In fact, you know what? The pole is quite fine there. This loop going down, which is quite alright. This one going down, which is quite alright too. It still feels like a bit of a puzzle that is not solved properly over there. So because here this is too wide, we'd rather redirect this down. So let's do that. This is going to be redirected down. I'm gonna add a cut there. I'm gonna merge this together. And this loop going down there is fine. I know it's not very entertaining seeing that, but it's, you know, it's part of the job, part of the process. So actually, you know what, like when I'm facing an issue like that, it means that first I need a break usually, and also I need to destroy a lot of things. So let's destroy the things and let's redo it. And I prefer to keep that in the editing of the video, so you will be able to see how I solve those kind of issues. So let's remove that and let's redo the thing. So here I know I will go there. I will have to go down because this is the sternocleidomastoid muscles that should go down. Maybe I should go down there. This is going to go there, and maybe from now I can select this, make it go to the inside, close that hole, and you see I have less polygon there. So this is cool because now I will be able to do this, and you can see how now I can go down with a much proper in a much proper way. So I think I can even, like, from there, let's move this closer to the top because it's a pole and I want to hide it as much as I can. In fact, you know what, let's even remove this, something like that, extrude that piece. So you need to visualize this going down as the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So let me redirect it directly to the end of the connection of the muscle, and then maybe I can extrude the whole thing there, scanning it down, something like that, which makes more sense right now, as you can see. So I have the full muscle going down. I have a pole that is controlled there, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can do this, let's remove this one. Okay, I can do this. I'm gonna smooth later on, don't worry about that. And here this is going down, and this is going to radiate out toward the trapezoid from the back. So I think from there I can extrude this, scale it, so you can see it snaps along with my selection, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, I can snap them from a good view, and then I can connect everything. So it looks like I was able to redirect the flow correctly. Now it's a mess, so let's go in the sculpt mode. Let's smooth things out a bit nicer. Like this. You can see how we have the sternocleidomastoid muscle flowing from the back of the ear toward the front, which is exactly what this muscle is doing. And when adding blend shapes later on the mesh, or shape keys later on, you will be able to define a very crisp, sharp angle when doing, for instance, a facial break. So I think it's good that you've seen the mistake that I've made, and now because you'll be able to see how I've solved it and make it a better, in order to make a better compromise. And now you're looking at my new shrink wrapped topology. Let's smooth things a little bit. Let's press the proportional editing to make this look a bit rounder over there. And then let's add another shrink wrap modifier on top of that. Okay, and we can apply the shrink wrap. So it was a long work. I can right click and shade smooth to have the shading for the ear. You can see we have a very proper topology for this head. The last thing that misses, that I'm missing there, is the extrusion of the eyes. So I'm going to do that. So let's hide the eyes, and let's extrude the eyes toward the center. So I've removed, as you can see, the snapping, sorry, and now I have a much better thickness for the eyelid. And the other cool thing is that now I'm able to push, because I have a proper mesh, as you can see, I'm able to push back the eyelid, the top eyelid. So now I have a much better shape, and I will be able to model everything from now on using a nicer topology. I can even add some creases where it was hard to control, but I can now do it using modeling techniques. So as you can see here, I can even smooth a little bit, but I have much more control over my shapes. Okay, so this is I think a good moment to take a break, because we've achieved a lot of things there, and after the next break we'll be able to polish even more the shapes. Let me save things first, and I'm going to remove the in front option, and I'm going to hide the sculpt, or yes, just hide the sculpt, and also I am going to extrude by pressing E the eye socket even more toward the center, and I'm going to scale it down to a point in the center, and I'm going to press Ctrl plus multiple time and smooth the inner cavity. And maybe I'm gonna press from the top view, I'm gonna press Alt S to to scale the cavity of the eye, and each time I want to grab the eye, I can select the center vertex and press Ctrl plus multiple times, and you can see how I'm quickly able to use the smooth operator to do that, to smooth things out. And now, so I can remove the sculpt, and now you can see how my head looks quite nice. What I can do is I can also remove this weird cavity option, press Ctrl 2 to have a subdivision surface on top of everything, and you can see how this now looks quite great. So the last thing I want to do before going with the break is I also want to fix over there the border of the ear. So one thing I want to do is maybe select a loop that goes around the ear, and I want to bevel it, Ctrl B. The cool thing with that is that I will be able to isolate the ear from the rest of the head, and as you will see here when I'm selecting it, it's easier to select it basically. So we've done a lot of things. We have all the loops that we need in order to create a proper character. You can see here I'm adding a loop, and this works pretty well for the loop for the mouth. Here I can add some loops for the nose, even for the outer nose here. This creates a nice crease. Here you can add some loops if you want to define the loft line and the top of the nose even better. So yes, basically we have tons of things to play with, and let's now enter in the modeling phase for all the details for this character, so we'll be able to push things using a much nicer topology. So let's do that right now due to the magic of editing, but let's take a break, a well-deserved, I would say, break before going to the next step. Okay, so now that we have a retopologized character, we can start modeling and fine-tuning the mesh by simply pushing and pulling some vertices in order to define some shapes even more. You can see that here, for instance, I can correct some lines, some flowing lines, and this I can take as many times as I want, and I can even do it after the different steps that we're gonna go through. But if I see something that I can already start to tweak, it will be the right moment. So the first thing I want to do, because it was so hard to do while sculpting, is to finish or tweak, I would say, the eyes, especially the fact that the eyelids should go further back. So now that I have this, I can do it in a much easier way, as we'll see. So one way to do it quite properly is to actually select one loop and press Ctrl plus multiple times to isolate this part. So I can press Shift H to isolate this part. And now what you can see is that I have all the mesh that I need, and using the proportional editing and by pressing also Alt Z, I'm able to quite easily, as you can see, push the things back. So now I will be able to in a very organic way model the eyelid and to push it back. So you can see that especially there I need to make sure that the eyelid goes around. So even from the top view you can see I can push it like this, which will help me define the crease on top of the eyelid in a much better way and much more realistic way. Also, you can see that the lines are not fading right in the right direction, so I can take a moment and compensate for that. Okay, so this will define the crease on top way better, and also I can select some vertices there and make them a bit more prominent to open the eyelid even more and to re-establish the thickness of the eyelid in this way. So probably this front eyelid is going too much forward, but I can adapt it again using the proportional editing in this case quite nicely like this. So maybe this one I can push it a little bit higher, and also maybe I will be able also to scale that vertically, so on the z-axis, to create a nicer shape like that. So now we can see already, if I remove the display, that the eye seems more volumetric. But now by pressing Alt-H, I need to adapt what I've done with the rest of my mesh. So I'm gonna smooth probably a little bit, maybe not too much, but maybe those vertices by pressing Q and smooth vertices, because I've added again my smooth vertex option in the quick favorite. And now I can be even more precise regarding the different lines and the side of the eye, something like that. And I think that this is going to be much more interesting like that. So now that I have this, I really want to define the eyebrows and to define also the eyelashes. And in order to do that, we're going to model them. We're not going to use hairs. This is not a tutorial about hairs. Maybe one day I will do one, but I'm also going to, I think it's also the right time to maybe like push the whole thing forward and maybe to rotate it a little bit more like that, meaning that I can bring the eyeball a bit forward too. Something like that I think is much more interesting regarding our design. And maybe also let me try to go back with the eyes and to define again the inner straight line of the shape of the eye. So this